Thank you very much. Yeah, please record the meeting. Okay. This world that we live in is a mixture of real and unreal. Unreal in Vedanta is not merely, it's not there. What appears is called also unreal. Gold is Satyam, because Satyam in Vedanta is that which was there in the past, present, and future. Gold is Satyam. Earring, chain, and bangle are called Mithya. Mithya means apparent, which is also taken as unreal, because it is not, you cannot separate earring, chain, and bangle from gold. They are nothing but gold. There is nothing other than gold in earring, chain, and bangle. You can't separate them. You can't separate the form. Hence, what is there is only gold. Earring, chain, and bangle are only apparent forms. The world is also a combination of forms which are recognized by names and a substratum, the essential thing like the gold, called existence, life principle, consciousness, bliss absolute. All these belong to the one only. They are not four different things. They are not four different things. So the world is existence, consciousness, bliss, plus a name and a form. Just like earring, chain, and bangle are not different from gold, world is also not different from existence, consciousness, and bliss, which we call it God. Your own consciousness. Don't search for God anywhere else. That, because of which you are able to search, that power, that life principle, that consciousness, which even makes you search, because of which you are conscious of all your functions, body, mind, intellect. A dead body cannot act. In a dead body, the mind doesn't work. That which, because of which the body acts, the mind feels, the intellect thinks. This consciousness is the essence, like the gold in the ornaments. Other things are only apparent names and forms. Science also says whatever you see are only neutron, proton, electron. They seem to be different substances because of their speed, velocity. Same thing Vedanta says, association of Kala with Anus gives this illusion of the world. It's very surprising now that it is not the occasion. The words are exact to the kinetic physics in Bhagavata. Exact words, exact logics. So therefore, what you see, in fact, need never be real. You see, Earth is flat, it's not real. You see, earth is stationary, not real. You see, sky is blue, there is no sky at all. And therefore, seeing is not a proof of something being real. You see the dream, it's not real. In the dream also, there is something real, your existence and consciousness. The forms are apparent, not real. So the dream also is a combination of real and unreal. Wave. Water is real, the form wave is not real. Water is real, the form is not real, means apparent. Mirage waters. The sand bed and the sunlight are real. The form that you see as mirage waters is apparent. So, if you understand this, the world is nothing but essentially God, existence, consciousness, bliss. Like in the ornaments, essentially gold is the cause. The world is not different from God, like the ornaments are not different from gold. If you see gold, when the ornaments are broken, you are not shaken. If you miss to see gold, like children cry if the sugar dolls are broken. Children cry when the sugar dolls are broken. One who sees them as sugar is not perturbed. Similarly, in this world of names and forms, if you see everything as God, you will not be perturbed. If you miss to see God, you take the plurality to be real. Plurality itself means one limits the other, and hence they change. We are dependent ever on the changing world for our security and happiness. How can you get something permanent, meaningful from something that is changing? Illogical. So the world cannot give you what you want. God always has it, and that God is in you. One step further is you, not in you. That God is you. See the gold in the ornament, see the God in you, because of which my hand is shaking. When you see this, there is only bliss. When you miss this, when you take the forms to be real, there is only misery, there is only death. Right? So, the world gives you joy or sorrow, death or immortality is not because of the world, it's because what you see. It's not because of the world, it's because what you see. What we see makes us feel secure or miserable. This is what happened in the Mahabharata war. Arjuna was asked to see the Kauravas, the enemy forces. But he sees there teachers, brother-in-laws, fathers, brothers, friends, and therefore misery. He has no business to see in a battlefield his personal relations. So the whole world is like that. What you see will either give security or insecurity, happiness or misery. Since it's a mixture of truth and form, see the truth. But then why did God give the forms? Because for transactional value, you need the forms. You can't wear gold as it is. Gold has to be made into a form for transactional value. And the form is not different from gold. It's a very funny thing. It's gold only. But with your form, it is used. Without a form, you can't use. Similarly, God. With your form, you can transact. Without a form, you cannot. Therefore, since He alone is there, He feels bored. He wants to play. So in Himself, by Himself, with Himself, He creates this multiple world of plurality like you do in our dream world. So He is real. What you see, forms are not real. I'm tempted to cut a joke. Right? The world, I said, is a mixture of real and apparent or unreal. Like the phrase you use, happily married, is a mixture of real and not real. That's why you call one is better off, the other is better off. Right? So therefore, there is no problem with the world. The problem is with your perception. Puttaparthi Baba used to say, Srushtilo lopam ledu. Srushti means creation. There is no defect. Drishtilo lopam. The problem is with your perception. This is for everything. Death, Sri Gurudev says, quotes, Sri Gurudev quotes a Sufi saying, I died as a stone, I became a plant. I died as a plant, I became an animal. I died as an animal, I became a human being. When did I become poor by dying? So it's your perception, your value. Without death, there is no birth, there is no creation. Without pain, there is no progress, evolution. You resist pain, you resist death, you can't progress. They are meant for you. They are meant for you. You need them. You need the pain. You need the death. When you are having pain, can you experience the pain without the presence of the consciousness? And his consciousness is not God. Hence, from pain, shift your mind to the consciousness. And it is God, you experience bliss, even in pain. Our Paramaguru, Guru's Guru, Tapo Maharaj used to give an example. If you are standing in Ganges on a summer day, half of you is in the chill waters, half is exposed to sun. Likewise, in the world, when you recognize God, there is a fundamental, permanent happiness and the conflicts of the world. Once you are established in this fundamental conscious bliss, you go through as an entertainment the ever-changing world. When it is too hot, standing in Ganges, take a dip into the waters. When the world is too hot, take a dip into the consciousness. This is the essence of Gita. You know, Gita is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra war. Between Kauravas and Pandavas. All the time, the battle is between two values. Even in our present day politics, communism, capitalism, socialism, secularism, even in the present day politics, All the time battle is between two values, different values. These values, the fight is ever going in you. Between the good and the bad, the pleasant and the good. Right now, it's not pleasant for anybody to sit on a Sunday evening for a Gita class because lovely selected programs of reality programs are going on the TV. Sunday, you must be having nice, eats and coffee, enjoy. Why do you sit in a Gita class? It's not so pleasant. And that's why you see 80% who give the names also don't come. Right? The people who come are regretting, why did I come? Next week I won't come. Okay. So this eternal fight is going between the pleasant and the good. Eternal fight. And same thing is portrayed outside for us to understand as Kauravas and Pandavas. Kauravas, the pleasant. Pandavas, the good. Kauravas, the materialists. Pandavas, the spiritualists. This is going on in us all the time. So this is, no, when I said this is symbolic, Mahabharata war is symbolic, it does not mean that the war did not happen. It is not true. It could have happened. Anything symbolic. Sorry. Okay, I don't know how it's not working, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's not moving, doesn't matter. See, when you say symbolic, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. Gandhiji symbolizes non-violence. Does it mean Gandhiji was not there? So the symbolism, always symbolism is something that happened or will happen. Somebody is symbolic of cruelty. You say that, right? Is symbolism of greed. So symbolism does not mean it was not historical. But for our purpose, we have to learn from not the history or the story, but what these people stand for. The Kauravas believed matter is the goal of life. Prosperity with matter, gaining matter is the goal of life. The Pandavas said does not matter. We want only truth. And that is why, when Krishna gave the choice to Duryodhana and Arjuna, choose. On one side, my army will be there. On the other side, I alone will be there. I won't even fight. Arjuna choose Krishna because where truth is there, victory is a must. Duryodhana choose Krishna's army because he believed in numbers. He believed in the visible things. And Duryodhana met with disaster. Arjuna became victorious. The billions you earn in your dream cannot buy you a coffee. The 100 rupees that you have in pocket will buy you a coffee. So truth alone wins. Falsehood will never win. So align with the truth, use the false word, because it's a combination. When you do that, when you align with truth and everything, all values, you try to focus to that as a standard, you will not be desperate. When you focus to the ever-changing world of names and forms, you will meet with disaster. This is the simple lesson of the Mahabharata Gita, where Arjuna temporarily lost his focus on truth and started seeing related to his ego, relations, teachers, brothers, all egoistic, depending on the forms. So the Arjuna, who was such a victorious person, who never saw defeat, becomes shattered. And when taught by Krishna what is truth, when he has regained his knowledge, he becomes victorious. So the problem is the values. Nothing will ever give you sorrow for which you have no value. Nothing will ever give you sorrow for which you have no value. All that you get sorrow is from what you have a value. So the conflicts of values, ever changing, will always give you sorrow. Fear, anger, anxiety, worry. So what? So should I live without values? It is not possible. In the relative world, you need to have values. Then how? These values should always serve the ultimate dharma, which is value. The relative value should be guided to serve the ultimate value, the dharma. When you do that, you use the relative values to bring out all your pent-up subconscious mind. Cleansed mind becomes the consciousness. So the world is meant for you to transact and use only to cleanse your mind. Cleanse the mind by tuning to the truth without being carried away by appearances, not having egoistic relationship as I and mine. This is the essence of Gita. It has 18 chapters, all are different means of integration of the mind and intellect, which can focus to the truth. The first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, the yoga of despondency. How can despondency become a yoga? Integration, progress, evolution will only start when you are restless with the present state of limitations. Otherwise, evolution won't start. The unicellular organism became a fish, not satisfied, became a tortoise, not satisfied, became a varaha, not satisfied, became a Narasimha. If you are satisfied, there won't be evolution. There will only be static adoption. You should never be satisfied till you reach the ultimate state of yours. And therefore, despondency, confusion, inquiry is the means, and hence the Arjuna Vishala Yoga is also a means to integrate. Now let me start the text. The text starts first with Dhritarashtra's question. Of all the people in the Mahabharata war, there is Bhishma, holy Bhishma, there is Dronacharya, there is Krupacharya, there is Dharmaraja, Krishna is there. Leaving all these people, why should Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita start with Dhritarashtra, the blind man, the father of all the negative things? Why should it start? Because that's where we are. Blind to truth. Blind to truth. Thinking matter will give security. Dhruta Rashtra, Dhruta form, Rashtra matter. Rashtra matter, land, kingdom, all matter. Dhruta holding on to firmly to that, thinking that is security. Born blind to truth. Married to an intelligent factor, Gandhari, but she is helpless with this man. He is so blind. She also blindens herself. Born to this, born blind mind and blind intellect. What else will be born other than negative things? Duryodhana, Dussasana, Durshala, all do. So therefore, it's right to start with Dhritarashtra to inquire into the truth. Dhritarashtra uvacha dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yusavaha mamaka pandavascheva kimakurvata sanjaya. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre, in the field of dharma, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Samaveta having assembled, Yusavaha desiring to fight, Mamakaha, my own people, Pandavaha, the Pandu's sons, Kim Akurvata, what did they do? Sanjaya. Sanjaya is the minister charioteer of Dhritarashtra. He is highly evolved person, therefore he is called Sanjaya. Sanjaya, one who has conquered his senses. But his boss is incorrigible. He cannot do anything with him. Whereas, same situation, the charioteer is Krishna. Charioteer is always the buddhi. Chariot is the body. The Swami is the ego, you and me. You and me in the body. You and me in the body, driven by the intellect, holding the mind tightly, the reins, leads the senses to the goal victory. Senses are the horses. So, in the case of Arjuna, the charioteer is focused to truth. Otherwise, intellect can also mislead you. Hitler, Ravana, high intellectuals, but they destroyed themselves and others. Intellect need not always be positive. But Krishna is focused to truth. Yogeshwara Krishna. And Arjuna was willing to submit himself to Krishna. Arjuna was willing to listen, therefore he became victorious. Whereas Dhritarashtra is not guided or not amenable for guidance to Sanjaya, and therefore he met disaster. So this is the dialogue between Sanjaya and Dhritarashtra. Before the Mahabharata war started, Krishna asked Dhritarashtra, I can give you temporarily the power to see what is happening in Kurukshetra. Do you want it? Dhritarashtra said no, because he knows all his people will die because they are on the wrong side, adharma. Give the power to Sanjaya, let him see and let him try to tell me what's happening there. So Sanjaya sees in the battlefield, then after 11 days runs back to Hastinapur and narrates what all happened there to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra asked, in the battlefield of Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, your body is the temple where all values can be practiced, dharmas. Kurukshetra, your body is where from all activity emanate. Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre. Samaveta, having assembled the full of the spirit, Pandus, this full of matter, Kauravas. Kim akurruta Sanjaya? What did they do? Why did Dhritarashtra ask such a stupid question? In a battlefield, will they play chess? What did they do in the battlefield? They have to fight. But why did they ask? Because the man had a desire, wishful thinking. Pandavas are good people. They wouldn't like to kill. So they would have even given up the kingdom and called off the war. That is why he asked this silly question. Kimakurvata Sanjaya. And you see the man's blindness and ego and attachment. He says, my people and the Pandu's sons. Supposing for summer holidays, your cousin's children or your brother's children or your sister's children come to Dubai or Chennai. They stay in the house for 15 days. They all go out. Do you ask, where are my children and my brother's children? You will ask, where are our children? Nobody will ask, where are my children and where are brother's children? You will only ask, where are my children? Pandu's children were given in custody for you to protect. You failed in that duty and you are so attached to your children, my children and Pandu's children. So all this is the basis of psychology, which makes you what you are. Hence, these things are not for intellectual gathering of information. These things are the clues for you to introspect, detect the way in which your mind functions and make necessary corrections. The first chapter mostly names of the warriors, names of the conches, names of the horses, etc., etc. So we'll be rushing through, excepting a few places, very beautiful verses are there. I will tell rest, names I will rush through. But the first chapter is important because it is here that you get the disease diagnosed. When a man is sick, the prescription is not important. The diagnosis is important. Once the sickness is diagnosed properly, even you can tell the pharmacist, he will give you the right medicine. So the diagnosis is important. First chapter diagnoses the problem of Arjuna, which is same as ours. That is why what suits Arjuna? The problem was Arjuna's. Why should Gita be applicable to all? Because the basis of Arjuna's problem and our problem is same, ego. Solution to Arjuna's problem and our problem is same, turn to truth. Hence, what applies to Arjuna also is useful to us. And therefore, watch for psychological factors in the first chapter. through which you can diagnose yourself. One of the main things is, through the first chapter we know, the way in which you talk will reveal the ego level. Your own talking will reveal to you the ego level. We'll see how our Duryodhana blabbers. Your talking will reveal to you the level of your maturity. Do not try to judge others with this. Do not try to condemn yourself for this. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel judgmental. Understand, use, correct. Understand, use, correct. Right? So then starts Sanjaya. Sanjaya is the narrator all through Gita. Sanjaya uvacha društva tu pandavanekam yudham duryodhanastada acharyamapasangamya raja vachanam abravit. Sanjaya, I said, is a good man. So his heart is always with the Pandavas, but he is in the pay list of Kauravas. So he is serving Dhritarashtra, but his mind is with them. Hence, when he refers to Pandavas, including the conches, the horses, and the warriors, he uses superlatives. When he refers to Kauravas, just like that, he refers with only name, like saying Duryodhana. He doesn't even use any adjective for him. So we'll see that. Sanjaya vacha društva tu pandavanekam yudham duryodhanastada acharyamapasangamya raja vachanam abravit. Društva tu pandavanekam, having seen the army of the Pandavas, yudham arrayed, Duryodhana, see, his king, he doesn't even say our king, Duryodhana tada acharyam upasangamya, approaching the teacher Dronacharya, raja vachanam abravit. That king spoke. What did he speak? Let us see. He doesn't speak, he blabbers. Pashyaitam panduputranam acharya mahatim chamum yudham drupada putrena tavasishyena dhimata. Pashya yetam panduputranam acharya, oh my teacher, see the sons of the Pandus, mahatim chamum, their big army, yudham arrayed by Drupada Putrena, son of Drupada. He reminds him because the whole bitterness of Dronacharya was because of Drupada. He insulted him. So that son of Drupada is their commander now. Drupada Putrena, that is nothing wrong. But a codicil is added. Tavasishyena dhimata, you are a brilliant student. It's a punch. What does he mean? You taught to somebody who is going to kill you. You did not have the discrimination not to teach him. You were stupid. You understand? So is this the way to talk to your teacher in a battlefield where he is important? You have already depressed him, demoralized him. That is the greatness of our Duryodhana. Even before the war is started, he demoralizes everybody. Duryodhana himself, Dronacharya himself, he demoralizes, stinging. Your brilliant student has arrayed the army to fight against you. It's a sting. Atra shura maheshwasa bhimarjuna samayudhi yutano viratascha drupadascha maharataha drushtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha viryavan purijitum chibudascha shebhyascha narapungavaha udhamanyuscha vikrantaha uttamaujascha viryavan saubhadro draupadeyascha sarvayeva maharataha. See, when he is trying to describe the Pandava army, everybody gives adjectives, saying Viryavan, Narapungavaha. When it came to Duryodhana, he just said that Duryodhana the king. He didn't have any respect for him. So, and now is a beautiful sloka. Asmakam tu visishtaye Tadadvijottama Nayaka Mama Sainyasya Sainyartham Tan Bravimite. Asmakam, he has narrated the various kings on the Pandava side. I have not gone word by word because they are mere names, right? That you can read. Otherwise, I will be going word by word where it's necessary. The first chapter I will be rushing through because there's not much of philosophy. Second chapter onwards, I will be going slow. First chapter, I will just brush through the names. Asmakam tu visishtaye Tanibodha Dvijottama Nayaka Mama Sainyascha Sainyartham Tan Bravimite. Please learn from me, Dvijottama, the best of Brahmins, Nayaka Mama Sainyascha, the leader of our army, Sainyartham, for your reference, Tan Bravimite, I shall tell you. See, there are 2 points here. One, he calls Dronacharya Dvijottama, best of Brahmins. In a war field, that's not to be reminded. By saying best of Brahmins, being a Brahmin, you love good things, good people, so your mind will be with the Pandavas, you will not do justice to us. Because you are a Brahmin, you like good things and good people. And a Brahmin is not very brave. So it's a wrong reference at the wrong time or the right time. Dvijottama. And then next, you say, you are our leader. Why should you explain the army to him? He knows who are there. Bhavan Bhishmacha Karnascha Krupascha Samitinjaya Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saubhadatti Tataivacha Anye Jabhava Shura Madhadde Tyakta Jivita Nana Shastra Praharanaha Sarve Yuddha Visharada. On our side, these are the people there who have given up their life for our sake. This is what they call it in Tamil, Naklaseni. Right? He has already decided they are going to die. He did not say they come prepared to die for us. He says, Tekta Jivita. The people have already given up their lives for our sake. This is an excellent Sanskrit beauty. The next verse. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma virakshatam paryaptam tu yadame tesham balam bhima virakshatam. Aparyaptam and paryaptam. Aparyaptam means unlimited. Aparyaptam means insufficient. Unlimited, but not sufficient. Paryaptam, limited, but sufficient. That's the beauty of Sanskrit. Our army is large, but cannot win Pandavas. Their army is limited, but will defeat us because they stand for truth. Aparyaptam balam bhishma virakshitam. Paryaptam tu idam yetesham balam bhima virakshitam. Their army is protected by Bhima. Our army is protected by Bhishma. Ours is large but insufficient. Theirs is small but sufficient. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avastita Bhishma meva virakshantu bhavantas sarva yevahi. Standing each in your own positions. Please protect Bhishma. Staying in your respective positions. all of you should protect Bhishma. Tasya sanjanayan harsham uruvruddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochaihi shankam dadmau pratapavan. See, Duryodhana was blabbering like this, demoralizing all people. Now his spirit has to be popped up. So, for his spirit to be popped up, Bhishma blows the conch. By that, what happens? The first call becomes the Kauravas. Therefore, they become the aggressors. Aggressors in a war are not supposed to be dharmic, and therefore they won't win. Who made this possible? Bhishma, to make the first call, and thus becoming the aggressor. It's all Krishna, Krishna's mischiefs. Everything is played by him. Right? Tasya sanjanayan harsham gururuddha pitamaha simhanadam vinadyochaihi shankam dadmau pratapavam tata shankascha bheryascha tapanavanaka bhomukhaha sahasaivavyahanyanta sashabdah tumulo abhavate. Tataha, there, shankascha, bheryascha, different types of conches and drums, those turbans and the cow horns, all these for, trying to tap up the spirit of people. At a time, they blew, and this sound was tumultuous. Swetai ayai yukte mahate syandane stito madhava pandava cheva divyo shankau pradatmatuhu. I told you, you can see Sanjaya's mind here. You see, for everything, including the horse and the conch, he gives a superlative when it comes to Pandava's side. Tataha, there, Shvetaihi, Ayehi, Yuktai, by the white horses, Mahati, Syandani, that great battle. In the Syandani, that great chariots, staying in their chariots, Madhavaha, the Lord of Lakshmi, earth. Ma is earth, Ma is Lakshmi, Madhavaha, the Lord of earth, the Lord of Lakshmi. Means what? He is giving a suggestion to Dhritarashtra. Where are you going to win this battle? The Lord of the earth, the Lord of Lakshmi is on their side. Therefore, you use that word Madhava. Why? At least then the blind man can see sense. I cannot win and call back. But that man is so attached, he doesn't do that. Madhava, Pandavas Cheva, Divyo Shankau, their divine conscious. See the way in which he uses the word for Pandavas. Divyo Shankau, their divine conscious, Pradatmatuhu, they blew. Panchajanyam Hrishikesha, Devadattam Dhananjaya, Paundram Dadmau Mahashankara, Bhima Karma Rukodara. Hrishikesha, the one whose hair is matted, or the one who has conquered his senses, Krishna. Hair is matted in all battlefields, even today. Short, crew cut they call it. Because otherwise it will disturb the sight. So Hrishikesha. Also Hrishika, senses. The Lord of the senses, one who has controlled his senses. So he blew Panchajanyam, the conch called Panchajanyam, Dhananjaya. Arjuna is calls Dhananjaya to remain Dhritarashtra. He has already gone all over the world, conquered everybody, and got so much wealth for the Pandavas. So you have no chance of winning. But the blind man cannot see. Reason. So he calls him Dhananjaya. Devadattam, his conch is called Devadatta. Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam. Mahashankam, the great conch called Poundram. Who did it? Bhima Karma Vrukodara. That pot-bellied Bhima who never believes in doing anything small. Bhima Karma. He believes only doing big things. He will never do anything small. Vrukodaraha. What is big things Bhima did? When Ghatotkacha, firstly, two things happened in Ghatotkacha Vada. Because of Ghatotkacha died, Arjuna was saved, and therefore victory was Pandavas. If Ghatotkacha was not killed, victory could have been Kauravas. How Krishna's trick. He made Ghatotkacha kill thousands and thousands and because so powerful, such a big body. And Duryodhana, seeing this, he said, we are not going to win. So says Karna, send the Shakti, the Shakti Astra given by Indra, which is meant to kill Arjuna, to kill the Ghatotkacha. Karna says, how can I do that? Then I can't kill Arjuna. That is tomorrow's problem. Today's problem, we won't live if we don't kill Ghatotkacha. So therefore, send the Shakti Astra to him. And that is sent. Therefore, Arjuna saved. Therefore, when Ghatotkacha was killed, Krishna was laughing. And Bhima asked, my son is dying, you are laughing? And Krishna says, your son is dying, no doubt. But because of his death, you are going to win the war. That Shakti Astra is misused. So therefore, he says, that Bhima Karma, who does anything big, not only that, when Ghatotkacha was killed in the skies and about to fall, Bhima shows, go to that corner and fall, because there were millions of Kauravas. When he falls, they have to die. So even in death, he kills the millions. Therefore, he is called Bhima Karma Vrukodaraha. Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthira Nakula Sahadevacha Sugho Mani Puspakau. Raja Kunti Putra, son of Kunti, Yudhishthira, one who stays firmly in the battle. Ananta Vijayam, his conch is called infinite victory. Nakulaha Sahadevacha Sughosha Mani Puspakau. Their conches are called Mani Puspaka. Kashyascha Parameshwasaha Shikandi cha Maharataha Drishtadyumno Viratascha Satvakischa Aparaditaha Drupado Draupadeyascha Sarvasha Prithivipate Saubhadrascha Mahabahu Shankam Dadmau Prutak Prutak. These different people, they blew their different conches. Saghosho Daktarastranam Hridayani Vedarayat Navascha Prithivim Chaiva. That sound of these various conches, kettle drums, etc., completely shaken the confidence of the Kauravas. Why? It should shake both, because sound is common. Because morally weak side. And he is giving a hint to Dhritarashtra, at least now you call off the war. But that man will never listen. Atha vyavasthitan drushva dhaptarashtra'n kapidvajaha pravrutte shastra sampate dhanurudyamya pandavaha Rishikesham sadam vakyam idamaha mahipate. So at that time, Atra vyavasthitan drushva, seeing all these people assembled, dhaptarashtra'n, the sons of Dhritarashtra, kapidvajaha, whose flag as Hanuman, Arjuna, Pravrutte Shastra Sampada, ready to fight, Dhanurudyamya, having taken up his bow, Rishikesham Padavakyam Idam Aha Mahipate. O king, this, he said, Arjuna told Krishna. What did he say? Arjuna Vacha Yavadetan Niriksheham Yosdu kaman avastitan kairmaya sayodhavyam asmin rana samudyame. I just want to make an assessment with whom we should fight. Kaihi, with all whom we should fight. This Rana Samudyame, this battle, and therefore I want to see the people who have come here ready to fight us. So please take the chariot and stop in between. Yosyamana naveksheham yetanna samagataha Dhritarashtrasya buddhe Pretakeshavaha. This evil-minded Dhritarashtra's son, they have come there, I want to see them. Sanjaya vacha eva mukto Hrishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayo Rubhayo Madhye Stapayitva Ratottamam. When said by Arjuna like this, the Hrishikesha, Krishna, Gudakeshana, by Arjuna who conquered the sea, Senayo Rubhayo Madhye, between the two armies, Stapayitva Ratottamam, the great chariot, he parked there. Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham cha Mahichitam Vacha Partha Pashyaitam Samavetam Kurunidhi. You see, that is an intelligent charioteer. The charioteer's position in the war is very important. If somebody else, he would have parked somewhere where Arjuna could have seen weaklings and become overconfident. Krishna parks them before Bhishma and Drona. That is what shakes his confidence. Because he has to make the right assessment. Bhishma Drona Pramukataha. Before Bhishma and Drona, he parks the chariot and said, Pashyayetan Kurum. Arjuna, see these Kauravas. This is the crucial word. Krishna says, see the Kauravas. Pashyayetan Kurum. What does he see? Swajanan, his own people. That is the problem. Krishna says, see the Kauravas. But Arjuna sees his own people. He forgets the cause and caters to the ego. So this Pashya Kurum, you have to underline. See the Kauravas. And whom does he see? Tatra apashyat titan partha pitrunata pitamaha acharyan matulan bhatru putran pautran sekinstata. There Arjuna saw pitrun, fathers means uncles, pitamahan, grandfathers, acharyan, teachers, matulan, maternal uncles, bhatrun, brothers, putran, sons, pautran, grandsons. In a battlefield, he is not supposed to see these. He is only supposed to see the enemy ranks. Then Arjuna says, Arjuna vacha rushvevam swajanam Krishna yustum samupastitam. Krishna, I am seeing these people who have come to fight in this battlefield, and therefore now my confidence is shaken, which we will see next Sunday. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, Narayana. We'll see next Sunday, inshallah.
Hari Om Uncle.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Uncle, thank you.
Hari Om Uncle.
Hari Om,
Thank
Uncle.
you.
Hari Om Uncle.
Hari Om Uncle.